Well, this is Retro Zuki 81, and today I'm going to be doing something that I plan to be doing on a regular basis sometimes. I'm going to be doing training that I see on the internet and just apply it to my channel, and people can kind of keep up with seeing how I train, the trainings that I do. Not every single time am I going to be posting my training, but uh, the ones that I do, maybe one time I'll post them. Okay, thank you. It's a windy day. So close this. It's from GNT on the internet. It's dynamic kicking stretches. And just going about 5 times each. Trying to get the range of motion real well. Four or five. It's a little dry out here. But that's just, normal. When you train, sometimes it does get dry. Let's see. Not as high as I used to go. Remember, I used to go way up there. But it might take some time. Let's see what happens. Let's see, good one. Point it inward a little. It's too bad it's cold out, windy. Otherwise, training would be easier. Oh wow, that's life, huh? And the Van Dam kick that I'm trying to perfect is how to say it, like I'm doing it weighing 240, 250. I've got that American flag that, you know, I'm not the owner of the home technically, so it gets in the way at times. This is where I do it. It's mostly flat ground here. Got to pay attention to the wind, the weather, you know. So maybe I just throw out 2 roundhouse kicks. Throw it out. Cock it back. Why not? Throw it out. Cock it back. Used to have perfect balance. I remember those days. But for whatever reason, you know, training is not available to me. The right training, which I'm not going to discuss it online for respectful purposes. But I need that training to maintain my talent. You see, that's what I'm used to. I don't know where to get that training. If I get it somewhere else, it'll be more expensive. I pay more money in your pocket to get it. And that's why I don't like to just, you know, get that training. And get that training. It's an art. Perfect it. You live your life this way. To those that can do it, that can handle this art. So karate's not for everybody. Keep that in mind, because what I'm doing requires a lot of balance, a lot of strength, a lot of joint strength. You don't just throw a roundhouse kick in the air. You know? You gotta be trained. You gotta keep training. When you keep training, you can perfect this. But you gotta think like the color of this cap here. It's Don color. Like that. And be professional. Because if you're not, you know, physics is not gonna make up for what you don't know how to compensate for. Remember that. So I kind of like mixed Taekwondo and Subakdo or Tang Sudo, my training. But that's what I taught myself. And so probably this video will have one, or maybe just one, where I don't add music. Or maybe just one, you know, then maybe 2 where I add music too. Who knows? But right, you know, like the conditions I've been living in, I'm not gonna just do the Van Dam kick right now. So even though maybe perhaps I'm not doing it exactly, I'm not photographing exactly like it the way it is, where Scott Atkins does it or Van Dam does it, where there's one kick back here, the leg, the foot is supposed to be pointed upward, I think. That's what I'm thinking. It's supposed to be pointed upward, and then this kick comes out, you know. But you gotta have a mind for your joints. You gotta have your mind for your limits. Like this, the wind and the wind. The wind has a mind of its own. You see that? Yeah. That's how that it goes. So, well, why not? Let's do 3 kick strings. That's Taekwondo and Kyokushin. Oh, I forgot. The roundhouse kick is a Tang Soo Do kick. So it's kind of like an all mixed kind of martial art like that. Maybe it's also considered a Shotokan, because that's in our style of its origins, or some other Japanese arts. But we do come from a northern style. Make note of that. And research it. Yeah. Yeah. Always so much space, and within that amount of space you have to kind of compensate. See, these moves are 29 years old. Yeah, okay. 2024, 1995, that's 29 years. Yeah. Before I forget. There's birds out here too. I like in kickboxer, some of this fight choreography. I noticed Jean-Claude Van Damme does this also, where it's like he does a double roundhouse kick. And actually, I want to quote, perhaps maybe Bandai Namco must well, I don't want to quote them necessarily, but my federation was doing this, but I believe that was after I did it. They don't tell you that. That's like from a fight with Tong Po versus Kurt Sloan. I just watch it and I just do what I see. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody, but I recommend doing what you think you can do, knowing your limits. So consider this maybe like a lesson in martial arts. Know your limits, and your limits would include your joints, limits of the joints, limits of the body, limits of stretching. Everything is a limit. Know your limits, and don't go beyond your limits. You have to be aware of your limits all the time. When you are, you're not gonna hyperextend, you're not gonna pull a muscle, you're not gonna injure yourself, you see. Now keep that in mind, and you're not gonna get hurt as much, or you won't get hurt at all, which I generally speaking don't get hurt. But that's just me, okay? So when I talk about myself, I generally don't get hurt training. Now, these tournaments that I do, I have to admit, I did one outside my federation, which I believe I'm not really supposed to do, but they're not giving me my training at Region 5. And that's why I went outside my federation, because I wanted to appeal to the martial arts movie industry. I wanted to appeal to the martial arts world. But guess what happened? I went up against, it's an all open tournament against all people from all around the world. I found an opponent that I'm not used to, someone from Japan, he claims. I don't know who this guy is, but he was really good, and that's because he trains all the time. And I don't have that. I don't have the training. I don't have all those things that this other opponent had. And this guy was taller than me. He was like about maybe 6'5", 7 feet tall. Man, he was huge. So, imagine Ryu Hazuki going against Pedro, but Pedro knows karate. Now imagine that, okay? This guy's like a big Pedro, but Japanese Pedro, not a Spanish one, and he knows karate. Okay, so that's like an old tournament. I know I can't forget these things, but I haven't been training. Like I was training Shotokan karate. There's this one movement from Teki Shodan. And then he does it like that. Kind of the form. Now I learned parts of that form. Someone I trained with, an instructor, and he's a good guy, but I just have not really been able to get to the training sites, and you know, different reasons, money, whatever. Well, that's how it goes. So I was starting out training like the dynamic stretching video, but then I got into more training. See, it's actually kind of good to stick with what you're doing, or just keep going. You can do that like that. So. Okay, I'm gonna end this broadcast, and it's a recorded broadcast. Keep that in mind. Cold out, windy. It's gonna get warmer, but not yet. And thank you. I'm Retro Zuki 81.